Annabella Rungo, mother of beauty queen Chidimma Adetshinas, was arrested in Cape Town for allegedly residing illegally in South Africa. We're going to be discussing this issue, which is a fallout from the Chidimma Adetshinas beauty pageant from last year. And with me to discuss as well is Mustafa Jinodo. Mustafa, you're welcome to the show.
Okay, so we're not going to question the merits of the case, although the merits of the case are also questionable. They're charging her with having multiple passports and traveling when she's supposed to have a prohibited status in South Africa. She's
Mhm.
here in South Africa taking care of Chidimma's child, who was born in South Africa. I think that child is probably a South African citizen based on South African law. I don't know. I don't know what their crazy laws are anymore. But that child has been there for some years. Chidimma has been there her whole life. That's the only country she knew. She had to flee because if she comes back, she's going to be arrested. So she can't go home. Her child is staying with her mother. And they send people to the house, take the child, and take her to court to charge her to the grandmother. They take the grandmother. They go there. It seems like maybe this woman is a serious criminal. Maybe she's a drug dealer or a terrorist or something. This is so important for them to take her. Then when they take her to the court, they say they want to hold her. Let me tell you, when I was in South Africa, my visa was I had a visa on my U.S. passport, and my visa something was wrong with it. It was fake because somebody gave me a fake one. They didn't detain me, but they told me I had to get a new passport. They tore up my passport. Also, I once stayed in South Africa too long with my American passport, 3 months. I left. They didn't do
Hi.
anything. I came back with an expired passport, and they just made me pay a fine. So
Okay.
why are they taking Chidimma's mother? So Kule is here. Thank you. They go to the mother's house and they take her child away from the mother. Then they take the mother to court and say they want to detain the mother. Now here's the last part. The judge said, "Okay, Chidimma's mother traveled 3 times out of South Africa. Where's your evidence?" The prosecution didn't even have evidence. The judge said, "This is rubbish. You bring in a half-baked charge to my court. You're wasting my time." My sister, I just talked to my sister. She said it's very clear. How dare Chidimma? Oh, Kunle, I can see a fan.
Sorry, sorry.
How dare Chidimma get kicked out of our Miss Universe? How dare she go to Nigeria and then come number 2 in the world? And this is, to me, this is all about revenge. Because I don't understand why you will go to her child's house,
Oh,
take the
yes,
child from her,
revenge.
and then send the mother to detainee. So now that child is basically an orphan. This is right wing. And I'm going to say it, South Africa is a right-wing country. Black people can be right-wing. What they are doing is the same thing that we shout about Trump for doing with Mexicans and other people. We know that probably the mother lied about her identity 20 or 25 years ago, but to go to
Sure.
this extent, to destroy a whole family,
Okay, the judge
to
condemned
destroy a
it.
whole family.
You say the judge
The
condemned it.
judge condemned it.
Oh, yeah.
No,
They
she
said
condemned it, but
the
she's still going to hold the hearing.
they said the
She said that
prosecution
they
file
came
was
in.
incomplete.
Go ahead.
Yeah, the judge condemned the case that
So they don't even, they
the
didn't.
prosecution file was incomplete. I think it basically threw it back at them, showing a lot of inefficiencies in South Africa's legal system. You
Yeah,
know, while we
she said
don't
they were unprepared.
countenance,
And here were her words. Here
yeah,
were the words of the judge.
half-baked.
Here are the words of the judge. The judge said that here's what here's what she called it half baked, and here's what the judge said to the prosecutors. She said, "You know that this is a high-profile case, so you should have been prepared before you bring it because it's a very explosive case." That's why we're talking about it now. What are your thoughts, Afalabi? Then we'll go to Kunle.
Yeah, while we don't countenance fraud and identity theft, I think it must be clear now that South Africa's selective enforcement of immigration laws raises a lot of concerns. And the country has a history of targeting African migrants and disproportionately so. I don't understand why they are more lenient towards Western and non-African immigrants. But when it comes to African migrants, including Nigerians, who contribute significantly to their economy, they face systemic discrimination and violent xenophobic attacks. They keep doing this, and it's obvious that this is targeted, is a selective judgment, so to speak. Instead of tackling immigration fraud with fairness, they're always targeting Black
Okay,
Africans.
just leave
Oh
it
yeah,
eventually.
and like you said, let's follow
Sorry,
the law.
guys.
Okay, go ahead. So let's follow the law. So what the law? So we know that if the mother has done illegal stuff, she should answer for it, no question.
Yes,
But the way this thing is being done, it the way they're hounding the mother, putting so much resources into it, it brings to question whether they really care about justice or they're just trying to humiliate and destroy the family because of this whole
Yes,
Miss
I think
Universe
it's
thing. And
humiliation. Yeah.
and here's the thing: everybody knows that in the Western Cape, there are Bulgarian and Eastern European criminals who sell cocaine and drugs and live there. Like Malema said, there are many illegal whites in South Africa. The government doesn't go after them. I'll go back to my story. I came in with an American passport and stayed too long. When I left, they told me that I stayed too long. They said, but when you come back, all you have to do is pay a fine and we'll let you back in. If I had been Nigerian, they would have taken me to some camp.
Of course. Also,
Some camp.
when Black African immigrants are involved, the South African legal system would often fast track these cases just to secure deportations. Many African migrants are accused of visa issues or minor infractions. They are denied fair legal hearing or
And not only
representation.
that,
They are just thrown out of the country.
And not only that, Chidimma's mother is going nowhere. Why would you detain someone? They don't even detain drug dealers for more than 2 days in South Africa. I know, because I used to hang out with the boys, the Nigerian boys.
Here she has a Mozambican passport.
Okay? Yeah, I'll tell you a story about South Africa. I was with some friends one time, Nigerian guys. These guys were dealers, man. White boys from helicopter came, and they took one of the Nigerian guys from the house. No, the Nigerian guy was a drug dealer, right? They took him from the house. Then they came back because they left their rifle on the bed. All of us were in the room. Then this policeman came back. He said, sorry, I left my rifle. He left his automatic rifle on the dealer's bed. That guy was out in 3 days legally because he paid his bail. His bail was 800 Rand. Wow. That was his bail. I know the guy. He used to play football. All of those dealers in South Africa that were Nigerian, all of them say they were all footballers. I'm going to play for Spurs. I'm going to play for Chiefs. I'm going to play. Seriously, that's why they came. But they said, but my uncle
Orlando Pirates.
but my uncle says that I can't have free rent, so I have to also help him sell drugs. I'm serious. That's what it is. No violence involved. But now you're going to hold a woman and take her. And Kunle, they took Chidimma's daughter, and Chidimma's daughter is now custody of the state. She's basically
Chidimma doesn't have a daughter now.
She has a child.
You mean, she has a child. Oh, Chidimma, is she allowed to compete in Miss Universe even if you have a child? She's only 19.
I don't know, but I think that came out later.
I thought they meant her mother I thought they meant Chidimma's younger sister.
Chidimma has a child. Chidimma has a child. She has a child. And they took her child.
How can the mother... But how can they take Chidimma's child?
It's changed his rules, yeah, I think so. Because Chidimma... I'm not making this up. Am I making this up, Afolabi?
Chidimma has a child. That.
Okay, but I know even if Chidimma has a child, it's raising more questions and answers. You know, sorry. I was going to say that it's a very sad day for something like this to happen, and I think it's down to a slave mentality or a colonial mentality that hasn't really left South Africa, both the oppressed and the oppressors. That mentality hasn't really left them.
So sorry, Kunle.
Yeah, that's why they worship.
Kunle, sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah, go on.
It was gathered that when they came in the house, they took Chidimma's minor child. Chidimma has a child. She said
maybe it's an adopted child.
No, she has a real child. It doesn't matter whether it's
a biological child. Maybe it's adopted. I find it hard to believe. But I mean, why would they take the child if the mother hasn't committed an offense and the child hasn't committed an offense?
Let me tell you why they take the child. Chidimma had to leave South Africa because they're going to arrest her, so she's not coming back. So her child was staying with her mother. But because her mother is now a criminal, the child has to, and the mother's in jail, somebody has to take care of the child. And there's nobody to take care of it. So the child is now of the war, and the child is a South African citizen.
Okay, so the child is in detention. So the child is in detention with Chidimma's mother.
No, she's not with the mother. She's separate.
She's not with the mother. Okay.
Sorry, my kids are half term. I can't avoid this.
Oh, I know. And let's look at the final result, Afolabi. They have destroyed this family because of false documents of living in the country. They're treating this as if it's a serious crime like armed robbery or whatever. So my thing is that all they have to do is let her go home, pay her bail, and then she come back for court dates. What are your thoughts, Afolabi?
Yeah, I think this is not a case in question. This is a systemic ill in South Africa. Many times they use family scandals as a means to discredit successful foreigners, especially those who compete with South Africans in prestigious fields. Chidimma's withdrawal can be interpreted as a form of silent exclusion. You know, they are now trying to get back at her because I heard that in September, they actually told the mom to leave. that he was persona non grata, meaning that she was unwanted. Yeah. But somehow she continued living in South Africa. Yeah. And I think they stumbled upon, maybe she was with
That's her country.
She's it's her country.
For 40, where else is she going to go? She's there for 30 years. 30 years.
I'll be embarrassed if I'm South Africa.
The idea that non-South Africans should not rise too high in the society is annoying.
They're not embarrassed.
You know, in a true Pan-African society, an individual's success should be celebrated regardless of their nationality.
Yeah, I keep saying Mo Farah is celebrated. He's knighted. He was an illegal, and he himself was illegal that went to England illegally. He's celebrated. He's a world athlete. He's been knighted. Mo Farah isn't even his real name. Mo Farah was a fake name that he used to get to England. And that's the same name that he's using. He's now Mo Farah OBE. Great Britain, long distance runner. I keep saying it. You celebrate people who do well for your country. I would be so embarrassed if I was South African.
Of course.
And I think the judge has got the right mind of it. The judge is an educated person. That's why they're outraged. Any educated, decent-minded person would be outraged. Anybody who's still living in a slave colonialism mentality or has a chip on their shoulder or has an inferiority complex, those are the kind of people that would be celebrating this kind of nonsense.
We're not even sure of the merits of the case. They're saying the file is not even complete. So it means that the technicalities are not...
That means they don't have a case. They don't have a case.
It sounds like the judge is embarrassed for the country, for the judge to be so outraged. Clearly the judge is embarrassed.
Kunle, yes, women with children can compete in the Miss Universe pageant. The Miss Universe organization announced in 2022 that married, pregnant, or divorced women can compete. Chidimma is divorced, and she has a child. And now her child is...
Okay, that's okay.
This child has only known South Africa. So think about the trauma for this child. Your mom is sent out of the country, and you're called Kwere. Then they come and they take you from your grandma and send your grandma to court and detain her. And now you're going to be living in an orphanage or wherever.
It's disgraceful. It's disgraceful.
To me, let's use common sense. If someone illegal came to America and I was the judge, I'd be like, okay, they're here illegally. Let's work this out. But we're not going to destroy this family, especially after they've been living there for 30 years.
It's politically motivated. That's nothing to do with the law. I'm sorry. It's purely political.
And it goes to what you said. And this is why I'm going to formally say today on TV, or not on TV, on YouTube, I give up the idea of Pan-Africanism. I give up the idea that South Africa can even be involved in it, as long as there's this level of xenophobia. At the same root, we have problems too, and we're not making Pan-African. But I wipe my hands clean, because this level of hate and this level of xenophobia and right-wing sentiments, which is based on hating a group of people for whatever reason, is something that's just too powerful, and it controls the whole country. Watch tomorrow. We're going to have hundreds of comments calling us stupid Nigerians, that we're dirty and this and that. Thank you. Thank you, South Africa. Thank you. You know what? I clean my hands. You know, I lived in South Africa, and I thought that I lived in South Africa, and I wanted to be accepted when I was there. But I realized that I'm not, because I'm Nigerian. F it.
We will have
what do you have to say?
There's still South Africans that understand what's wrong, like the judge. The judge is not the only South African. There will be people that support it. And even if we're in a minority, we need to keep pushing to become a majority. That's how we struggle and we defeat struggles. If most people are thinking like that in South Africa, then it's people for us to keep being vocal to change the tide. And it's very sad. But we need to
I agree with you, but here's my problem, Kule. Here's my problem. I'm 50 years old. I'm not going to live for much longer. I have to put my energy into where it will work. Maybe I need to go and hang out with people in Mali and places.
Well,
you understand what I'm trying to say?
People care about I take everybody at face value.
Okay, but we have to measure our energy. You have to measure your energy. You can't bang your head against a wall, because it's pointless. I'm not saying that that's the case, but it seems like it's pointless. It seems like there will never, in Africa especially, and in South Africa, there will never be love. They don't see us as their brothers, which is why they say dirty Nigerians. They don't see Mozambicans as their brother. They say dirty Kwere. But they don't say it about the white guys there who are criminals out there. They don't say it about governments that attack them. Then they go and say, please, America, don't give us aid. No. All I'm saying is that you don't want to try too hard so you don't want to try to work with someone who doesn't want to work with you. That's what I mean. It's a waste of our energy. We have to use our resources more wisely. I agree with you, Kunle, but I'm cynical. What do you think of what I'm saying, Falabi?
Yeah, I quite agree with you. And when Chidimma withdrew from this competition, he sent a message that South Africa is hesitant to fully accept non-South Africans in national competitions, even when they're
non-black.
eligible.
You mean non-black? You mean
yes,
non-black?
Yes, non-black, even when they're eligible. If
it's a white person, they'll let them compete if they were second-class
citizens. Had Chidimma been of European descent, the backlash might have been different. Many South Africans praised white or mixed-race contestants in the past. We saw it happen with foreign backgrounds. The pressure placed on Black African contestants shows that there are a lot of deep-rooted xenophobic attitude in South Africa. And this contradicts Pan-African values. It contradicts Pan-African values.
It contradicts Pan-Africanism, and it makes it very hollow when they go there and they go and defend.
Instead of them to celebrate excellence.
They stand up for Palestine.
Instead of them to celebrate excellence.
They stand up for Palestine.
But I mean, South Africa has a lot of contradictions in it. There are people who are supportive of the Zionist position in South Africa, and obviously there are people with the majority that are against it. So when it comes to xenophobia and racism, it is very polarized. South Africa is still a battleground. I don't think it's settled one way or the other. I think it is still a battleground. I mean, they joined BRICS, which is the greatest thing that is opposing Western hegemony at the moment. We have people like this.
Out of practicality. Because here's my argument: South Africa tends to be an anti-African country. It has anti-African rhetoric. But they stand up for Palestine. They stand up for their brothers in Palestine, but they hate their bordering brothers.
Yeah,
and they say that they have bordering brothers because they're coming in and taking jobs and stuff, which is okay. I understand the economic forces, but these are your brothers here, and we're not saying that you have to keep them. But even if you're going to deport foreigners, do it in a human and humane fashion. And also be consistent. Do the same thing to white people. They had a truth commission in which they forgave white people who admitted all kinds of horrendous Nazi-like crimes against Black people. They were forgiven. But yet, if somebody comes and does a competition and she's been living in South Africa for 25 years, you use technicalities to destroy her whole family. No.
I think it's the damage that they suffered. I think that what they suffered onto them has become a part of them, and sometimes they use it to lash out. It's almost like a kind of national PTSD, sort of because it had been done to us.
Same thing with Zionism. The Jewish people
project that evil onto others.
Yeah.
Yes, but I think that the only way that we can stop it is just by keep trying. I mean, there's always going to be some people that see it right way. We just need them to be brave, because I know in South Africa it's very difficult to run against the grain and to say against what everyone is saying. You're so easily cancelled there. That cancel culture that exists in America, I think it exists in South Africa in its own kind of way.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. They have a movement called All Men Are Trash, because the females are getting raped. All men are trash. Yeah, no problem. Yeah.
Yes. We just need to keep pushing, and we need to keep trying. I mean, the struggle doesn't end here. But what we've seen with this is that the road is long, and that South Africa still has a long way to go in sorting out the problems, its internal problems, and the damage that has been caused by
talking about the final chances of winning African Cup.
If Nigeria is there,
that was
if
the
Nigeria
joke.
is there,
Nigeria will knock them. Do we even enter? We enter.
I think we're in. We're in the competition. As long as we're in the competition, they can't win.
Man,
they can't win because we'll always beat them.
Real Madrid
is in the competition.
Point. Real Madrid is in the competition. I'm getting off track.
The only South Africa won the AFCON.
South Africa has a good football team, and they have a good
rugby team. Just come in.
And you know,
we're like a roadblock.
When South Africa won rugby, I think sometimes we celebrate more than they did, man. I was fucking celebrating when they won, man.
I celebrate England more because Mario Itoje was his family are family friends with me, and his uncle is my personal friend on Facebook. So I have all the reasons, although he doesn't know me.
Sorry,
and, his other uncle, younger brother, went to Brook House with me. I knew the Harriman's family. I didn't know himself. So Andrew Harriman also played rugby sevens.
I know Kunle is British. He doesn't say Osimhen, he says Osimhen.
Saka.
Like Martin Chariot, Bogo, Steve Ojomo. We have so many Nigerians playing for England in rugby. So
that's going to be on our sports show. We'll clip this part and put it on our sports show. Okay, but thank you guys. This is not a long show because it's very simple. And I'm going to listen to what Kunle said. For the first time, I'm not going to argue. We need to, Kunle, from where I'm going to agree. Not that I'm going to agree. I still give up, but I still think that your positivism is good because people will be watching this and they're going to hear what you're saying, and it's going to make them not too angry about what I said, because you accept everybody because you're a Pan-Africanist and you love everybody. Not only do that, you also love Europe. I'm not saying that in a bad way. And you always say that it's the governments, it's not the people. And that's
the message. Yes, it is.
Yeah.
And it's what they teach us. Everyone is taught to hate. No one is born with hate.
Yeah.
And once we all understand that, then that's the beginning of progress.
Yeah, so I agree with that. What are your last thoughts, Falabi? We don't have to talk too much today about this topic yet.
Yeah, basically, I think other African nations have welcomed South Africa in times of crisis.
Oh, your sound is back. Come closer.
Especially during the apartheid. They welcomed a lot of South Africans during crisis. Many countries provided refuge for South Africans. Yet today, they are repaying their kindness with hostility. I don't think this is Pan-Africanism, really. They need to also train the media.
Taxes towards the apartheid struggle. Sorry.
What were you saying, Kunle?
Sorry to interrupt. Nigeria also, not only did we house South Africans, we also paid tax towards helping the apartheid struggle. It wasn't just that we harbored them. We actually paid taxes. We sang songs. We went to the and protested.
Also, we had a no-fly zone. We had a no-fly zone, which meant that
we did everything. We did everything.
We had a no-fly zone, which meant
give up on that and start hating. There's bad people everywhere. There's good and bad everywhere.
So, Kunle, what I would say is this. I'm not saying hate towards South Africa or any other country, but I just give up trying to be accepted by them. They won't accept me. I'm Nigerian.
I give up. There's no objective.
You just need a bit of energy. Take a break and come back.
Kunle, I need Ragoli.
It's just water for now.
It's annoying
I'm still
sometimes.
the only father in the no parents in the house.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. It's annoying sometimes when you listen to some of their media houses. Their news, most of them are anti-immigrant sentiments. If you want to hear an objective South African news, you can't listen to any of their news stations. They are all anti-immigrant and pro-South African. So you can't even, it's as if their media has been trained to think in the same direction. And if they have to change, they have to start from the media.
We used to be like that with Ghana Must Go in the early 80s. And
Thank God we don't say that anymore. Thank God we don't say that anymore, you know?
Yeah. I hated that period. I felt like a smaller person when I start hating on an entire group of people. I can't stand it. I don't like whether it's a tribal.
They're making the arrest look like a criminal case already, from the look of things.
No, they're taking it very far. And my main thing is her child now is in limbo.
All I can say is thank God that they have a proper judge and a decent legal system that will sort it out.
And I'm going to use the word love, because here's what I mean by love. It's clear that Chidimma's mother broke some laws, okay? But love means that we care about human beings, and we want to make sure that we don't do cruel punishment.
Yes.
You just give her a warning, give her a fine.
Warn her.
She can't go anywhere.
Just give her the brave useless indigenous South Africans running around.
Get her to put her papers in shape.
Instead of training her out.
Yeah, and her mother is not, they keep saying her mother is Nigerian. I think her mother is Mozambican.
Mozambique,
which is Southern Africa. And she understands the language. My thing is that once you learn the language and you have the culture, that means you've become part of that country. Perfect example, Elon Musk started off in Canada. Next thing we know, he's South African. South Africa accepts Elon Musk. He's in South African. Now he's American. This is the way the world is supposed to be.
Exactly. This is the way the world works. Of course.
No, he benefited off apartheid. He was an apartheid benefactor.
Yeah. But my point being is that, so what I mean by love is that we have to remember that when we take people and put them in jail and stuff, innocent people suffer. And we have to look at the crime. Chidimma's mother didn't kill anybody. Yeah, she did a crime. She did fraud. Fraud hurts South Africa. It hurts. Of course. But my thing is that the punishment for fraud.
Of course, she didn't commit murder. She didn't commit murder.
And also, they rushed this case. The judge said that the prosecution was not prepared.
Yes.
South Africa would have gained more by keeping her. Instead, if they had not done what they did, she would have Chidimma and
remember what my sister said?
A big asset to South Africa, not a detriment.
My sister called while I was talking to Falabi. She said Chidimma has the audacity to go to Nigeria and come number 2. South Africa will show them. She was being sarcastic. But she also said that if Chidimma had competed for South Africa, she would have won, because South Africa has prestige in the Miss Universe, but Nigeria doesn't. So she was saying that if they had kept her, they would have even won, because they've even won before. South Africa has won 2 or 3 times. You see what I'm saying?
It's just because of her name. if she was named, if she had a Mozambican name, I don't think they would have been angry.
Or a Dutch name. If she had a Dutch name.
No Nigerian in the entire scandal committed an offense. The mother is not Nigerian. Chidimma didn't commit an offense.
This whole problem started when she took a picture with her dad. Her dad was wearing agbada or whatever.
Yeah, but her dad
if she even had an English name among her names.
People got angry about the image because they saw Nigerians, and in South Africa they hate Nigerians. I live there. I can tell you.
So pathetic and petty. They hated Nigeria so much they went after Mozambique. How do Mozambican people feel? I wonder. Because
but you know what's funny, Kule? What's funny is that during the xenophobic attacks, more Mozambicans were killed than any other Africans. They call Mozambicans kwere, which means dirty foreigner. Basically,
it's really sad. It's sad.
No, that's derogatory. That's derogatory.
As Africans,
they call them kwere. They call them kwere.
That's derogatory. That's derogatory.
In South Africa, if they say, "Oh, her boyfriend or her husband is African," it means that they're not South African. So they use the word African to talk about blacks. So they're distinguishing them. They're using the word, "Oh, he's African." Can you imagine? This is what black people say.
The black South African isn't even the reason why South Africa is where it is. It's the white South African. Those black South Africans are poor or poorer than any other Africans in any other part of sub-Saharan Africa. They are just as poor, if not poorer.
And they don't even have the skills to attract the best of South
all they're proud about is the achievements of white people in
we don't want to cause a riot or a war here, but here's what I'll say. South Africa is a first world country because during the apartheid, they had Western money come in and the gold. So we know that, yes, it's because the whites came there and they developed the infrastructure, but they used black labor and they stole black land.
It's like when Massa goes, "Yes, Massa, we got a great house." That's what they're like.
But you know what's funny? That's the same thing. So in America, African Americans have the House Negro. African Americans feel they should lead the Black Revolution, and they talk about Martin Luther King and Malcolm X. They don't talk about Lumumba. No, America, we the Black Americans, so we the best Black people in the world because America is the best country in the world. Same thing.
America's growing, though. America is growing as some of the people go to Ghana and Nigeria. African Americans are growing.
African Americans think they're superior to other Black people around the world because their economy is better, but it's because of white settlers who did it. Same issue in South Africa.
Yeah, but those that have actually gone to Africa to try to discover more about themselves have grown, and they've come back and they said it's not like that. I remember some guy going, "Man, it's just like Detroit." You know, and when he came,
it's even better. It's better. But you know what? No. I have an opposite story.
There are lots of better qualified.
Hold on, guys. Kule, they go to Detroit. And they say, Nigeria, Detroit is just like Ajekule.
You know, one of my friends told me that when he went to America, they kept asking him about lions. And he had to explain to them that the first time he saw a lion in his entire life was at London Zoo. It wasn't the zoo when he went to London. I'd never seen a lion before then. I lived in Africa.
Ask me that. When I moved to America, people asked me, did I ride elephants? Oh my God. All right, guys, we got to go because we got to talk later. I think later on this evening, me and Afalabi are doing, we're doing WRC, so you're free to drink Ragolis. Yeah.
All right. Nice one, guys. I'm going to do my squats tomorrow, so no drinking.
Go ahead. Yeah, I need to write out a training program for you. I write it because I'm good at that. I'll write a program. Try to walk 2 kilometers every day. That's a good exercise too.
Oh, I do that. God bless Nigeria. God bless South Africa. God bless us all. Let's all work towards our problems.
God punish Mbappe. God punish Mbappe.
God punish Mbappe. Yes, and let's hope that we can grow as a nation and as a people in Africa and overcome our differences and be better for it. That's what I always hope for all Africans. And
I believe so. I believe it can happen.
Brazil the more we identify with each other, the stronger we become and the more of a threat we become to everyone else. So I'll never give up on trying to get us all to think. And if we're losing, we'll still keep trying.
Thank you, because you added a positive. I'm not being sarcastic. You added a positive balance. Because if it's just been me and a Afolabi, we would have just been talking shit all day. All right. Okay,